So I have a little coach's corner for you this week that was motivated by my last coaching session, episode 12 with Alex. So you may want to go back and check out that episode either before or after you listen to this coach's corner on having the guts to say what you need to say. So a few questions for you. Are you carrying around an unspoken question or assumption about something? Did someone do something or behave in a way that stumped and possibly hurt you, but you haven't had the guts to ask them about it or speak to them about it? Are you being a wee bit wimpy when it comes to speaking your truth? I see so many people suffer under their own assumptions, pretend everything is fine, and take things personally rather than just having the chutzpha to be real, raw, and vulnerable with another person. I too have been guilty of wimping out in relationships and have had to muster up the guts to rescue myself from playing it safe. So before I give you some practical tips for saying what you need to say, I will share a little story with you from my own life. So I had a friend in my life whose company I really enjoyed, I saw frequently and got along with great. But I'd secretly been carrying around some hurt and misunderstandings about why he did something that involved me for over a year. I acted as if everything was great between us, and honestly, I convinced myself I put the situation behind me because I did my own closure and forgiveness work, both of him and myself. I was able to see the spiritual lesson in it and move on. However, I missed one very important lesson, which was to have the courage to get clarity from him and actually communicate about what happened. Instead, I made up the reasons he did what he did for him. And believe me, anything we make up about another person is usually much worse than what actually was in their head. And some of the reasons I came up with made me feel better and gave me an understanding of the situation. Yet the part of me that took the situation personally just came up with reasons that made me feel downright awful. So finally, I had the opportunity to ask him what I wanted to ask him, or actually to state it more correctly, I had plenty of opportunities in the past and I could have made them. So it's more accurate to say I had a moment where my courage met a window of opportunity. So in a very non-confrontational way and without any blame, I just asked what motivated his decision to do what he did. And I gave him full permission to be 100% honest with me. And thankfully, he had the guts to answer, honestly and vulnerably. What was the most healing for me was simply having the courage to ask the question and the willingness to hear the answer because I was taking care of the part of me that I hadn't been taking care of. His response was the cherry on top and cleared up some misunderstandings as I heard the truth from his point of view. There was one thing he shared that felt like a bit of a zinger, I'll be honest, but the truth felt so much better than making up a lot of lies and nonsense in my head. And now my friendship with him feels even deeper and richer because there's not this unspoken thing between us and we're willing to be real with each other. My strong encouragement to you today is to put aside looking strong, being right, or like something doesn't bother you if it does. There's a lot of growth we can do on our own. I'm not asserting that we need to have a conversation with another person to have closure and forgive. And thinking that we don't have to can be a cop-out. Sometimes the lesson we need to learn is to have the guts to speak up and communicate. Your ego can put on a game face forever, but your heart will always long for the truth. Strength of heart always trumps strength of ego. You have the courage to make choices from your heart rather than your head. So are you ready for a courageous conversation? Here are some steps that will help. Step 1, get clear in your intention before the conversation. Go for healing, authenticity, and clarity. Toss aside any attentions disguised as expectations around what you want from the other person. Step 2, have a little talk with their higher self before the actual conversation by inviting their presence forward in meditation or prayer. Share your loving intention, and you may ask that their best self comes forward in the conversation. Step 3, just do it. This is the chutzpah part. Clearly state your question or concern. Don't dance around with a bunch of story. Get straight to it by saying something like, when you XYZ, I felt XYZ, and I'd really like to understand your point of view. Use I language. Remember, no blaming. Step 4, be vulnerable. Drop your ego concerns about looking good. The more raw and open you are, the more you invite that from the other person. Step 5, share that you seek understanding, not explanation, so the other person's defenses stay down, and give them full permission to be honest. This is not about hearing what you want to hear. Be prepared for any zingers, but trust that dealing with the truth is much easier than navigating the dead-end road of your assumptions. Step 6, thank the person. Thank them for their willingness to have a conversation, for their honesty. And make sure you also thank yourself and acknowledge yourself for having the chutzpha to communicate this way. Step 7, forgive any judgments towards yourself or the other person. Let go so you can be free. And the final step, do something nice for yourself to celebrate your courage, something that makes you feel loved and appreciated and taken care of. So being honest and putting our tender questions out there on the line feels super scary sometimes, but it's so worth it, both for your relationship with yourself and for the quality of your relationship with others. I love the song by John Mayer, Say What You Need to Say. And the lyrics, have no fear for giving in, have no fear for giving over. You better know that in the end, it's much better to say too much than to never to say what you need to say. So say what you need to say, ask what you need to ask, and allow the truth to set you free.